What's poppin', y'all? Welcome to Pregaming Pigskin. Man, listen, Darren Smith in the back of a car hopping on. Appreciate you, brother. I'm the handsome host, Wire to Wire Gene. To my left, I got the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. Directly below me, I got the THEEGODFREY, the Godfrey. And joining us is Darren Smith. How you feeling, Darren? Tell him who you are. Tell him where you from. Appreciate you hopping on.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. I'm Darren Smith. I'm out of Kansas City, Missouri. Currently, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, covering Super Bowl 57 for the Kansas City Chiefs, and radio station back home, KLKC, Fox Sports Radio, out of Parsons, Kansas.
So I'm just guessing, just taking it, a wild guess. Kansas City Chiefs fan, right?
No, I just
no.
I like the players. I like the players and stuff, but no, I don't consider myself a homer because the thing is, when I have to be critical of them, I have to come from a place of credibility. So, I try not to look. I like for them to succeed. If they do well, I do well. But no, I don't like go out and wear Chiefs jerseys and stuff like that. No.
Well, we got a lot to get into. We got the Super Bowl. Kyle Edwards, the Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network. How you feeling tonight, Kyle?
I'm good. We got past the whole Pro Bowl week and everything that came with that. It's time for the big game, and I am ready to go. I think this is going to be a really, really, really good matchup.
I thought that was American Warrior Ninja.
It was pretty close to that.
I watched pieces of it, but I saw a highlight of offensive linemen, or was it defensive lineman, running through like walls of paper. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Not that I was a big Pro Bowl guy, but I was just like, all right, okay, sure. Hey, they're taking some risks. Good for them, but I don't know, man. It might be time to put the nail in the coffin.
So THEEGODFREY from Taking It Deep, from Birds Deep. I don't know. He's got a thing with deep. How you feeling tonight, Godfrey?
Feeling good. Hopefully take the Super Bowl deep. Eagles win, hopefully. I just want a good competitive Super Bowl. That should be good. Should be able to happen. Patrick Mahomes always brings the competition. Jalen Hurts young, sprouting star, young coach, legendary coach, and Andy Reid. You got all the recipe for a very good Super Bowl.
Well, instead of pre-gaming Pigskin this week, we're pre-gaming the Super Bowl. And who other to join us than Las Vegas' own bet and gambling expert, Jake the Snake Silva. How you feeling, Jake? I got two people in a vehicle. I love it. You know what my biggest problem is, Jake? Before you talk, my biggest problem is? I think everybody is on Eastern Standard Time. And I get that. I send the time out. Like we've been doing the show for a while at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when I send this show out to guys that are in Vegas or in Arizona right now, I got to be a little bit more specific and put the EST at the end. So I'll take blame for that. I'll take the hit for that. But how you feeling, Jake? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. Super Bowl week, the fact that, we got two really good stories with the fact of, number one, the Philadelphia Eagles with just a stacked and loaded roster. There doesn't appear to be a hole at all for the Eagles. They're just expendable, both offensively and defensively. And two dominant performances just before getting to the Super Bowl. It's one that some people don't like to gamble on, but at the same time, what you're getting off this team. They don't quit, and they're the kind that's got full amounts of energy. So I think it's going to be a really good Super Bowl in my opinion. But hey, I just would love to see Kansas City lose, because every time I get Kansas City fans here in Vegas heckling the hell out of this city, it's like, dude, you guys cheer way too early. That is the problem I have with Chiefs fans. They celebrate too early, and they don't wait until, they don't wait until the clock's over. So it's like, it's anybody's game.
Spoken like a true Charger fan.
You're a Charger fan, okay.
God. Yep.
I'm kidding, Jake. I'm kidding. Jake is great, and if you don't know him, he's Sports Empire Classic. I'm sure most people know him, but guy does the Snake Sports Talk Show. True consummate professional. Appreciate you hopping on too, Jake. We got two great guys, Darren and Jake, hopping on the show. We could have Cool McCain hopping earlier, a little bit later from the Eagles Elite podcast. So we're just trying to be well represented here. We got Chargers fans, Patriots fans, a Kansas City reporter, not a Chiefs fan. Who's your team, Darren?
I don't have one really. I just, I bet with my wallet, so I don't really care where my
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, who's your wallet's team this week?
I mean, my money's on the Chiefs this week.
Woo!
Okay.
I like hearing that. I'm getting too many people money on the Eagles, and I feel like that's getting overwhelming. We in Philadelphia, we like to be underdogs. We like to be counted out. So I want to hear people betting on the Chiefs this week. That's my goal. It's my goal of the show. So we open up with the game, and I think normally we're pre-gaming the entire week of football, or we're pre-gaming the championship weekend, and we're recapping another week. But last week we recapped. So this week is only pre-gaming Super Bowl. So let's pre-game offense versus defense, both sides of the football. Darren, can I ask you to start with us? How do you feel like the Kansas City Chiefs offense matches up against the Philadelphia Eagles defense?
I mean, I think they match up well. I think really both sides of the football match up well against one another. I mean, you got the number one ranked offense against the number one ranked defense, and so to me, it's going to come down to coaching and what happens on the line of scrimmage. So, offensively, Kansas City's tackles, Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Waller, they just have to, contain the pass rush that is coming towards Patrick Mahomes. I'm not too concerned at all with the inside of the offensive line between Trey Smith, Creed Humphreys, and Joe Tooney. It's more if I have the concern, it's going to be on the bookends. But you got Clyde. I'm not Clyde, but you've got Isaiah Pacheco, who runs the ball, runs the football hard, runs it fast, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's the equalizer. He's going to win his second MVP tonight. So I don't have any doubt on what he can do. And then when you think you're going to double up on Marquez or Juju Smith-Schuster, well, Travis Kelce's right there underneath to beat you, and to get you, and he's going to be the one that's going to be like the hammer and the nail. He's just going to keep boom, 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 and then get that last boom and, put the nail in the coffin. That's going to be Travis Kelce this weekend.
Hey, Darren, can I ask you a question? So I've been hearing reports that Kadarius Toney is a big part of the Chiefs' game plan this week. Have you been hearing that, being a local reporter?
Well, we don't have only one quarterback for Pro Football Reference, so they're not putting too much. They're not cool. So if you hear that, that's just somebody creating the room out of the sky. So nobody knows. And to be quite honest, it would not surprise me. But both teams are going to empty out their playbook because it's not like they play next week. So, I mean, it could be anybody's game. The thing about Patrick and his off is that anybody, Kelsey's going to get his catches, but anybody else can have a good game, and you'll never know who it's going to be.
Darren, you have a little bit of a spotty connection in and out. So I'm gonna move on that right now. But I hear what you're saying as far as the points on the outside. I will counter that when I get there, but I'm not going to go right now. But I will counter that talk about the outside receivers. There's no doubt in the world that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. Nobody's doubting that. But when I look at the outside receivers, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and Avonte Maddox versus Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I promise you, I do not fear that matchup one bit.
Well, it's not an issue of fearing a particular matchup. I mean, Kansas City's gone up against the number one ranked defense twice throughout the season, and they put 40-some points up on them. And so it's not a matter of anybody being afraid. It's just they know. I mean, I trusted Andy Reid. I mean, when they faced off against Tom Brady and the Bucs in week number 4, they had the number one ranked defense. They put up 44 points. When they faced off 2 weeks later against the 49ers with their number one ranked defense, they put up 40-some-odd points. Most of the players on defense, outside of any rookies or Ndamukong Suh, faced Kansas City last year. Now, granted, they had Tyreek Hill, but they had other receivers that weren't as good. Kansas City put up 35 and 38 points against them and beat them. So, again, they have great talent, but Kansas City beat them and faced them before, so it's no big deal.
Okay, no big deal. Jake Silva, tell me your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles defense versus the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Patty Mahomes, the weapons that he has, Pacheco, the interior of that offensive line that Darren spoke about a minute ago, Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, those guys are absolute animals. There's no doubt that. Jake, let us know what your thoughts are in the matchup of the Eagles defense versus Kansas City's offense.
So I think it's going to be a real like grinding matchup between both Kansas City's offense and Philadelphia's defense. The thing about, Kansas City is, and I'm sure Darren, you have mentioned about this in your reporting a couple times, before the season started. It was going to be a completely different Kansas City offense, knowing without Tyreek Hill as their home run swing as a receiver, as a guy that's lethal being deep downfield. You get 5 draft picks up into the middle of it. You find a way to reload and still keeping the same assignment as Kansas City's been used to throughout, Andy Reid's tenure. But one of the different things is that Patrick Mahomes, he's obviously the centerpiece of being one of the best quarterbacks currently in this league. And he just finds ways to really distribute the football. And he finds ways to being clock management, being a game manager, being there behind center, and just really manning the entire offense to executing their roles and finding ways to get first downs and even being explosive on the red zone. Going against a tough Philadelphia defense, I think is going to be a much higher task because you see what they have up front. They've got Linval Joseph, they got Fletcher Cox, they've got Ndamukong Suh, and Jordan Davis, the big-time rookie from Georgia. That interior in the front line of that defense is going to be really, really difficult to penetrate, especially for someone like Isaiah Pacheco. You're running that ball, trying to go, ground and pound. That's going to be a tough challenge for him to go through. But if Kansas City executes through that, that's where Philadelphia will have to revert and figure out a way to stop the run and continue to keep the flow and momentum on their side. But I think it's just going to be a tough challenge from that point. And as far as the receivers against the secondaries, come on. Gene said it best with the fact of James Bradbury, Darius Slay, Vontae Maddox, even C.J. Gardner, Johnson, and just the entire secondary alone is just stacked. And here's the other thing I will throw. What people don't really talk about is that the edge a little bit that the Eagles have is they have 2 linebackers that not only can be Mike linebackers and allow pressure and rushes to the quarterback, but they also are reading what is the quarterback going to do? Is he going to throw? And I think the best piece of that, Kaiser White's been really good this year with as far as looking at what Patrick Mahomes is going to do, because the first thought, if he's throwing to Kelsey, I've got to cover that midfield because that is dangerous, and that has always been a secret weapon that Kansas City and Andy Reid has used with Mahomes and Kelsey there. So I think Kaiser White would be an X factor in that defense, but I just think it's going to be a grind through and through because Andy Reid, he's a terrific play designer. Mahomes, being a game manager, is going to figure out a way to get past that defense. But I think because Philadelphia is expendable on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be really difficult just really getting past that defense. And then at the same time, don't count out Jalen Hurts in that offense. A.J. Brown, you're talking about
we'll get there. We'll get there, Jake. We'll get there.
Yeah, and you got to say, Kansas City secondaries, it's going to be a tough challenge going against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But, that's going to be one portion of Philadelphia's offense we'll get to later. But, yeah, I think this is the toughest matchups Kansas City's really going to have to go through in this Super Bowl. We thought we saw this against Cincy. We haven't seen this against Philadelphia yet.
Okay, so the one thing I kind of wanted to address that you said, and I love it, is the cornerback tandem. The Philadelphia Eagles are number 1 against the pass. The San Francisco 49ers and Tampa Bay Bucks, when they faced them earlier in the season, are number 1 overall defenses, but they were number 1 against the run. The 49ers are 19th in the league against deep balls. The Philadelphia Eagles are not going to play cover 2 versus this this Kansas City Chiefs team like most other teams do. They play cover 2 and make Mahomes nickel and dime them down the field. That's been the book on Mahomes. The Philadelphia Eagles are not going to play cover 2 most of this game. They're going to play cover 1 football where they line up, they add an extra safety inside the box, and they have a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson over top. Kyle, Eagles defense versus Chiefs offense.
Yeah, I think, kind of what you're saying with the defense that they will play kind of on the back end, that's going to put a lot on the front seven, getting to Mahomes and getting him off his spot. Because, yeah, we know that the high ankle sprain isn't that much of a deal, but you just want to make it uncomfortable for him. You don't want him to just take 3 5-step drops, plant the leg, and let the ball go. Because then, you might, Mahomes is able to nickel and dime down the field if you give him the opportunity. But I mean, I really like the Eagles' defense against the Chiefs' offense. We didn't even talk about, Reddick, the guy who kind of became a big star in the NFC Championship game. He's coming into this one as a guy that I'm really looking at to see how he plays in this one. But I do think a key, because Darren also said that Travis Kelce is going to get his catches, and we know that. I think for the Eagles, it's going to be, you can allow Kelce to get his catches, but get him to the ground as soon as no yards after the catch. That's the worst thing you can have. If it's like a 5-yard little curl route or something with Travis Kelce, get him down to the ground right away, and kind of eliminate the chunk plays from Kansas City. I feel like the Eagles are probably the best equipped to do that with the style that they have and the guys in the secondary that you already named. Most teams, you have one decent corner and a couple of whatever guys. Eagles got a lot of players back there, so I think they'll handle Kansas City's offense pretty well.
Hey, listen, thank you for breaking that down. I got to welcome my man Cool McCain from Eagles Elite, Play Caller, Sports Talk, NFC Beast. My man covers Eagles football day in and day out. Not to mention, he's also a huge NBA guy. So I get to talk with him every Friday night on Top of the Key. How you feeling tonight, Cool?
It's Thursday. Super Bowl's in a couple of days. I'm feeling good.
So what we're talking about right now, and we're going to get to Godfrey and then right to you, is what we're talking about right now is how the Philadelphia Eagles defense matches up against the Kansas City Chiefs offense. After that, we're going to go right into the Eagles offense versus the Chiefs defense, but we're just going to break down the entire Super Bowl. Godfrey, Eagles defense, Chiefs offense.
I think the Eagles, it's a matchup problem for them. When you look at the team you're facing, sometimes you want to look at their losses and see what they were at their worst. Chiefs have 3 losses. Bills, Bengals, and the most surprising one people forget about is the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Eagles played them, beat them, had to go down to the last second. The reason why I bring that game up is, and I wanted to ask Darren when he's on here. I don't know if he gets back on or not, but there was a little blow up between him and Eric Bieniemy. He doesn't really call the plays they're saying as much. Reports are coming out. The reason why I'm bringing that up is, the way they played them, that defense played them tough that game. I remember watching the game a lot, and it wasn't a game that had a lot of talent on. I don't even know if Darius Leonard or, I believe his name is Shaquille Leonard was even playing that game. And Eagles have way more talent on defense. So I think they're going to be able to get after the quarterback. Travis Kelce's going to get his, but he got his in that game too. He had about 9 catches. He had 4 catches for 58 yards. So he really didn't get his. He had an average day. I just don't see them having enough weapons. I mean, listen, MVS, he has the physical ability. He has the physical talent, but he hasn't been able to put it all together all the way back in Green Bay. He just hasn't been able to put it together. Juju Schuster has been inconsistent, but he's a good receiver. He's had a good season. He's a veteran. Mecole Hardman's out. That was another veteran on the team. So you're turning to Kadarius Toney. And who's the other guy on there? I forget his name. Oh, wait, that is everybody. Oh, Justin Watson. Right. Okay. So the guys that they have to handle, there is no depth on that squad. And I know Andy Reid well. I know him well because I'm an Eagles fan. I've gotten to see Andy Reid through and through, and he's changed somewhat. But let's keep in mind that people weren't saying he was the greatest coach ever until he got Patrick Mahomes under his wing. He didn't get the KC and arrived there immediately with him. And a lot of those flaws that we all knew Andy for before Mahomes came and kind of rescued him from it were glaring in Kansas City. And he's going to pass the ball. He's not going to run the ball. A run play to Andy, and he always said this in Philadelphia. I wanted to ask Darren about it when he was on here, but a screen pass is a run to Andy. You're going to see a lot of short passes to Jerick McKinnon, a lot of checkdowns, a lot of quick passes to get the ball out of Mahomes' hands, because if they don't, the Eagles' rush is going to be in there on the edges where the weak shot is. So, Pacheco's a hard runner. I think he's underheld for a 7th-round player. But McKinnon's the guy that they're going to have to really worry about the most coming out of the backfield. He's not a superstar, but he's a shifty runner. He can get it done. That's going to be where they're going to be doing a lot of their damage outside of Kelsey, because the receivers are just, listen, they could be shut down. I mean, and this is the best defense really that they've faced. I mean, you go through the Chiefs' schedule, the Eagles are pretty well-rounded.
They played the 49ers. They played the Bucs. The Bucs were number one defense in the league when they played them. They played the 49ers, who finished with the number one defense in football. But I think the one thing that the 49ers were missing in that game was pass defense. Their corners have never 100%. Been great. I think that with someone like Patrick Mahomes and being able to space the field with a cannon like he has, I think the Eagles defense matches up well against him. Cool. What are your thoughts on it? On the Eagles defense, first the Chiefs offense, and then I'll give my final thoughts and we'll move on.
So, well, man, the first thing I always think about is what we were talking about a few minutes ago, the cornerbacks, right? I think we have, if not the best, one of the best starting duos as far as cornerbacks go in the league, right? I think we have a very good flexibility because we got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Avonte Maddox is a guy who's played really well as that third corner. We played that a lot. I think if you're looking at a point in our defense where Kansas City would say, this is where we want to attack, it's the linebackers. And I'm not saying that they're horrible. I think they're some of the best linebackers we've had in years. But I still think if you're looking at the different levels of where you want to attack, that's the first place you're going to attempt to attack. And you're going to want to do that more than likely with Travis Kelce. You're going to want him for routes where he's going to be across that middle about 4 to 8 yards in that radius to get catches, and then hopefully he can get, if you're the Chiefs, yak, right? Catch the ball, not get taken down, continue to move up the field and get them first downs and make big plays from that area. I think we're going to hopefully mitigate that some defensively by saying a guy like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, maybe even TJ Edwards, guys are coming in helping, doubling when you have Kelce. I think Kelce has to be a focus. You have to focus on Travis Kelce. Maybe not every play because everything's situational, but if you're looking at one guy that you want to make sure that he's getting touched multiple times, it's Travis Kelce in their receiver group. Because I consider him to be a big receiver who can block. I think, like you were saying, the short passes, that's something that can be concerning because our defense is very attacking. They're a defense that flows well to the ball, so, that could be a way that you could kind of get by them sometimes. I think it's going to be with the defense, them just saying, I'm not going to overplay the moment. I'm going to stay in the moment. I'm going to do what I've been doing all year. I'm not going to try to overplay. I'm not going to try to make a big play by getting out of my gap assignment, getting out the area that I need to cover, making sure you're always there in case something flips that you don't automatically foresee. Kansas City, obviously, you have Mahomes, who most people believe is the MVP this season and could be in the running almost every year since he started. So he's a guy you're going to have to watch. He's going to probably have at least a portion of his mobility back. So he's going to be able to move around some, get some plays that go longer, maybe get a guy like Valdez Scantling, Kadarius Toney, guys that maybe not great. Juju Smith, Mr. Butterfingers himself half the time. Some great plays to make for him. If they can make those plays, that's going to help them stay in the game. But I do believe that our safety group is very good, especially a combination. I saw a couple of drives last week was Blankenship and CJ were playing together. What I like about that is Blankenship is a wild animal. He'll fly over the field and hit anybody. And if CJ has that experience, he knows where to be. He's always looking to get an interception or make a play. So I like that combination at different times. So we got some different things we can put out. I'm not even going to take the time to talk about the line. I was a little late, so I'm sure that's already been discussed. But to me, this is the best defensive line in football. And while the Chiefs don't have a horrible line, I would not want to have the game plan to stop this defensive line for an entire game.
Well, I'm going to tell you who's going to get abused this game. I've been looking at this game for a long time, and I know Jake knows exactly who I'm about to talk about. Andrew Wiley, the right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, is a guard from the Indianapolis Colts turned tackle. Andy Reid is done everything he can to help Andrew Wiley during the season, but on that line, he is 100% the weak link of that line. And that's exactly where Hassan Reddick lines up, right over that right side. It's what the Eagles do as a whole. How the Philadelphia Eagles lose this game on the defensive side of football is playing soft zone covers like they did the first half versus the New Orleans Saints, like they did versus Derek Carr last year when Derek Carr completed 93% of his passes, like they did in a lot of games where they play zone because they're scared of getting beat over the top on the X play. Now, the adjustment that Jonathan Gannon made at halftime versus the New Orleans Saints worked perfectly. He started playing cover one press man. He played that versus the New York Giants, and he played that again last week versus the San Francisco 49ers. If the Philadelphia Eagles stick with a cover one press man, leaving C.J. Gardner-Johnson on Travis Kelce and Marcus Epps over the top, the Philadelphia Eagles will win this football game on the defensive side of the ball. If you're concerned with the X plays, trust your high-paid, high-value cornerbacks in Darius Slay and James Bradbury. That defense will get home. Where the Chiefs win the game, and this is what a lot of people don't want to talk about, the Kansas City Chiefs have the number one offensive line in football at pass block win rate. Number one in football. That's no joke there. Creed Humphrey is no joke. That is the second coming of Jason Kelce if I've ever seen one. Joe Thuney is no joke. Do not take that interior to offensive line for granted. Philadelphia Eagles have to keep their dogs rested, keep rotating Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. You got to keep them boys moving all day. I think the Chiefs score, and I think they score early, and I think they score often. Patrick Mahomes is good. He's a great quarterback. He's the most talented quarterback I've ever watched. So
I think so Mike Epps does worry me a little bit. I mean, we'll talk about where a hole could possibly be. And the thing is, they're going to give him a shot. MVS, although not a consistent stud, does have the ability to catch a play over the top in some of those X plays. He can do it. He has done it, not consistently. So I just hope that they don't play that soft zone and then start to move in and not play that soft zone, and then they get beat over the top because they get lulled to sleep with passes over the middle, because that is possible with the way that Gannon has called defenses. And, like I said, MVS has the physical skills. He just hasn't put it together. I have seen him have games and make catches. He's had the benefit of playing with two great quarterbacks back-to-back coming to the league, Rodgers and now Mahomes. But, I mean, I wouldn't underestimate him. I hope that they don't, because
Eli Apple surely did, and he was burnt toast last week. He was Eli Apple sauce, Eli Apple juice, because he was burnt last week. But we got to move on. We're 30 minutes in. I promised myself I wouldn't spend more than 30 minutes on either topic. Let's go Eagles offense versus Chiefs defense, because after this, I want to get into Super Bowl props, your Super Bowl prediction, some things that to look out for this game, and then next factor for the game. So we're going to go Eagles offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Jake, you want to lead us off here?
Yeah, absolutely. Eagles offense, has been, it really has been one of a kind in the story this year, because of the fact of everybody has criticized, can Jalen Hurts do this? Can Jalen Hurts do that? Is he able to stop with the doubts? Jalen Hurts every week has looked like he's gotten bigger, he's gotten better, and he's also been mastering his craft at his position. He's willing to throw in the pocket, He's willing to throw outside the pocket, and he's also willing to expand more plays on the offense to make it work. So I think this offense with the Eagles has really just been very ecstatic. And the fact that they get a home run in A.J. Brown over the offseason during the draft, and, I mean, it was the biggest steal. And the fact that he's able to go up and grab anything that goes his way and then force it to get more yards after the catch. And Devontae Smith, somebody that's also a real good number 2 X factor, has really contributed a lot this year. But I think one of the biggest things, too, that we know for a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans, we remember in the 17 year when they won the Super Bowl, they've had LeGarrette Blount, they had Jay Ajayi, they had several situational backs. This year, you've got Miles Sanders, you've got Boston Scott, and you've also got a couple of other running backs to consider. But would it be a big-time X factor against that Kansas City defense in the front line? You know, it's left to be said. But Kansas City's defense, this defense, a lot of people know, is beatable. I say this not just as my team and like just being a fan, but I have seen this narrative several times. They are not good over the top. Their secondaries get exposed. The other part is in 14 games, I believe, that we've seen out of Chris Jones in the playoffs, look at that donut. 0 sacks in the playoffs. He's allowing Frank Clark, his other teammate, really go all in on the defense and get against the offense. So Chris Jones really has not been that huge of a factor. So part of that is maybe he just gets a little bit too much butterflies in the postseason. We don't know. But he hasn't contributed much, and that is where Philadelphia really has to open up and expose that more often. And that's whether you're going on the run or everybody's all running their routes, and it's leaving a guy like Jalen Hurts to go and get the first downs, get the much-needed ground and time on your side in order for Philadelphia to win in times of possession, in first downs, and then also on red zone plays. So I think Philadelphia can really expose this Kansas City offense as long as don't rely heavily on the short plays. We know that check downs are, they're necessary, but they're not a must. If you really want to get to Kansas City, allow them to creep on in. Get them guessing so that by the time someone like A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith is open deep downfield, they can't do nothing about it. They don't have the right secondaries at all to really shut down that kind of offensive weaponry. So I think that is the part Nick Sirianni I know is going to be challenged by that. But the other person, and I hate the fact that they let him go, but I love seeing him thrive, is Shane Steichen. This guy deserves, honestly, all the best to getting a potential coaching job because he's creative on the offense. Yep. He knows how to work with quarterbacks. He's worked with his second young quarterback, working with Justin Herbert to be a rookie of the year, working on Jalen Hurts to shut all the critics up and make him the best quarterback walking into this Super Bowl. Now, we know Mahomes is the greatest, but we all know this. The best team that comes out on top is the ones that execute every single play from first down all the way to the end of the game. Jake, that's the way we look at it.
Jake, I love the points that you just brought up. I'm going to give you guys all a really fun stat I gave away on Birds Deep. The first one's really easy, right? Like what team has the number 1 offensive line for run block win rate in the NFL? Anybody want to answer? Free answers for anybody.
Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles have the number 1 team for run block win rate. Anybody want to guess who the number 32 team is for run as a defensive side for run block win rate?
I'm gonna guess Chiefs, sir.
That is correct. There's a severe mismatch on the defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs, who have 3 absolute edge rushers: George Karlaftis, obviously you have Chris Jones and Frank Clark. They're all get after the quarterback guys. That's what they are. So the Philadelphia Eagles have a severe advantage there. But I know Spags, just like I know Cool knows Spags. I know D knows Spags. I'm sure Kyle knows Spags, but I know Spags real well. Spags was in Philadelphia. Steve Spagnuolo used to be a Giants head coach. This guy loves to bring pressure. Cover zero is his best friend. Him and Wink Martindale went to the same camp of how to plan a defense. So the Philadelphia Eagles win this football game one of two ways offensively. If he's not playing cover zero and they're just sending 4 down linemen with 2 safeties over the top, you run the football. If they are playing cover zero, that means Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown have one-on-one matchups versus L'Jarius Sneed, Jalen Watson. The matchup really favors the Philadelphia Eagles in a one-on-one matchups on that outside. So, Cool McCain, Mr. Eagles Elite, Play Caller Sports Talk. How do the Eagles offense match up against the Kansas City Chiefs defense?
Well, you just talked about one of the important points is the line. The Philadelphia Eagles, to me, has the best offensive line in the league. I haven't looked at the stats for it, but just the eye test myself of looking and saying, man, the way that they can block for a pass, give Jalen Hurts a clean pocket, and then turn around and block for the run and blow guys out of holes, right? So I love what they do on the line. I think you always have to look at the line when you start about it. Now you want to go to Jalen Hurts, of course. The exponential growth of him from last year to this year is impressive, and it's more than I expected as a fan. I'm happy to say that. That's one thing I'd love being wrong about for the Eagles. But you think back, this is a guy that has always gotten better from year to year, from his first year at Alabama when we first saw him until now. He comes from a coaching family. He has a mind for the game. People said he couldn't process things fast enough, couldn't read defenses. And I'm like, I don't think that's the problem. I thought it was the motion he had last year. His release, he's worked on those things on us all season. He's really spent a lot of time being a student of the game, learning how to be the best quarterback that he can be. These are all ways that you get to this place that you're at. Now, what do you do when you're here? You said it earlier. They're going to try to either force you to run or force you to pass. What I think Philadelphia does is we come out and we say, from the first possession that we have on offense, we're going to do whatever the heck we want to do. If we want to pass on you, we're going to throw the ball on you. I don't care if you try to put a guy over the top. Are you going to put a guy over the top on Devontae Smith, on Dallas Goedert, and on A.J. Brown? I don't think you are. Someone's going to have a favorable matchup. I don't think you go down every play and just try to dominate with the pass, but if you feel like you have an RPO where you can throw that ball, you're going to do it. I think we want to run even sometimes when they want us to pass, just to let them know we're calling the shots in this game. We're going to make you defend the way we want to play, not take what we get all the time. There are times in the game where you say, okay, the flow of the game, let's take what we're given. If they're going to give the run, let's take the run. They're going to get a short pass, take the short pass. But when those small windows appear where you can go deep, you take them. We want to control the clock because we want to minimize the amount of time that Patrick Mahomes has with the ball in his hands. Offensively, how we help is we keep the ball longer. We have longer drives. We sustain drives. We take our time. We take the full play clock every time we get the ball. If a big play comes, we take it, but we just control the time of possession. We control the tone of the game. We take the shots that we're given, and we take care of the ball. Haven't even got to run the ball, y'all. Make it quick because we do have other people to go. Run the freaking ball. I don't care if you're running the ball and we're getting 2 yards of play. Run the ball. Make them respect the run. Between Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and if you decide to activate him, Trey Sermon, as well as Jalen Hurts, we got a lot of fresh legs. Run the ball as well. Keep them guessing, keep them on their heels, attack however you feel like attacking based on what you see on the field, and trust your quarterback to make the audibles in the right situations. That's how I think this offense does what they need to do against that defense.
I think there's a huge advantage. I think the bigger advantage in this game is the Philadelphia Eagles offense versus the Chiefs defense than the opposite. Kyle, being unbiased third party, being someone that's not an Eagles fan. You got 3 Eagles fans left here. The Chargers fan, the Chiefs guy don't seem to be here right now, but that's okay. Kyle, being the unbiased third party, where's the advantage between the Eagles offense and the Chiefs defense? And what advantage would you consider to be bigger?
Well, I'm kind of along the lines of like, just run the ball, because we saw it against San Francisco, Sanders and Gainwell. Even if it's not working early, that kind of physicality can pay off second quarter, third quarter, like just wearing them down. And when you have pass rushers, like Frank Clark or whatever, those guys on Kansas City side, a lot of times they don't like to be involved in terms of the run game, because you're getting big guys either pulling guards or whatever at you, and sometimes you don't want to deal with all that kind of physicality all day. So like Cool said, use it early, use it often. If they stop it early, that doesn't mean you just go away from it, because I think Godfrey even mentioned this like a few weeks ago. Like, we see that a lot today, where teams, if it automatically doesn't work in the first quarter, they're quick to go away from it and then try to throw it all over the field. And it's like, no, with these guys that you have back there, keep it going with them. So I do think that's where the advantage is. Hurts didn't have a great passing day against San Francisco, but that doesn't mean he couldn't put up numbers through the air. But I just think establish the run early, and it'll pay off in the end for them. That's where I think the advantage is, and that's where they need to come out and establish that.
33-year-old Carlos Dunlap. I think he's going to get blown off the ball all day. I really believe it. I really believe it. Godfrey, do me a favor. Help me understand the benefits of the Eagles offense versus the Chiefs defense.
Because the Eagles could get in that ass.
Whoa.
So, listen, I love watching the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and I've seen them lose some games over the years where, the mantra is keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand. And it seems like when you get physical with the Chiefs team, you can beat them. I hate bringing this team up again, but I remember a game where, he said it hurt his ankle, but they got beat in KC with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback by the Colts. That was a Sunday Night Football game many years ago, 2-3 years ago, whenever Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback for them. Frank Reich was the coach. I think Marlon Mack was the running back, so they weren't an overly talented offensive team. So they can push them around on the ball, and they should. Spagnuolo's going to disguise defenses. He's going to want to do the cover 1 and 0, and they need to do the RPO and keep them guessing. I agree. Stick to the run. I could see a methodical first drive for the Eagles against them, because they're going to get 3 or 4 yards here or there, and I do see, the RPO playing into the play action, and I think they could get him on the play action, because Spagnuolo's going to disguise the blitz. He wants the blitz, but he's going to try to disguise it. And if you stay the course, he's going to have to take a gamble, because he is going to try to win matchups by numbers and trying to find the holes in the line. And that's where he's going to have to take some risks to win. This isn't the Giants defense that he had against the Patriots. You don't have a Justin Tuck in the center and a Michael Strahan on the end. You do have a Chris Jones and a Frank Clark, but I don't know if they have as much depth overall in the defense versus that. And I know that was several years ago, but, bringing up his resume as a very good defensive coordinator and working with what he has, I just think that the Eagles can impose their will with the run. And if they, and Jalen needs to answer the question, like, can he throw the ball now? Is he still hurt? I don't think he is. I think he can. I think that's being a little overplayed, just like Mahomes' ankle injury was being overplayed to an extent. And I think the Eagles have a clear advantage, and tight end as well. People forget about Dallas Goedert. They have a clear advantage there. I just don't see, when I look at that defense, unless they're getting home quickly, how they're going to be able to hold down a Smith, a A.J. Brown, a Goddard, and then have to deal with the run between Sanders and Hurts out of the backfield all at the same time. I don't think they have enough depth on their defense to do it. I mean, they got rookies at corner. Snead is another one. These are all beatable wide receivers. And I think last week you would have saw more shots by Jalen, but the game script dictated that they keep running the ball, get the win. And I don't feel like they think they needed to do that. I think at a certain point, once that game was over, the Eagles pulled back the playbook and said, why burn these plays? And they knew what they needed to do to close the game out. You weren't going to have to split the atom to beat the Niners after you knocked out their quarterback.
You know what I loved about what Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni did in that game? I almost felt like you were watching a game of Madden versus a rat on the internet that was running the same play over and over and over again. The Philadelphia Eagles found a play that was working perfectly. I told you about this last week. I'll say it again. They were running a weak side inside zone run or a weak side outside zone pull. They were lining up 2 wide receivers in the tight end on the right side with a running back on that strong side with 1 wide receiver on the left side to create a matchup of 3 defenders for San Fran on the weak side. Then they were pulling their guard or Jason Kelce around and running for touchdowns. When the 49ers adjusted and added Hufanga and sent him from the weak side, the Eagles started running the ball with Jalen Hurts to give them an extra number because Miles Sanders needed to be accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
If Shane Steichen can figure that out on the fly versus the number 1 defense in football, there's no doubt in my mind that I feel like this game plan this week is going to be to expose the many holes on the Chiefs' defense. I have no fear about the Eagles' offense moving the ball versus the Chiefs' defense.
They're going to eat the clock.
My fear comes on the other side of football. I think third down conversions are huge. If Mahomes continuously gets third down conversions, because I have a feeling they're going to be a lot of 3rd and 7s. And if he's converting at a 60 to 70% rate and keeps that defense fresh for Kansas City, those pass rushers fresh, God forbid gets a lead on Philadelphia and we're playing from behind, that's where Kansas City can control this game.
Right.
Where the Eagles control this game is they score early. The Eagles get a lead early and score early. I'm telling you right now, this game could get ugly. I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a great football game, but I think this game can get ugly if the Eagles get a 10 or 14-point lead early.
The Chiefs defense is designed to play with a lead so they get tee off on you and blitz. That is how that defense is designed, because the other parts of the defense become irrelevant as far as the run if you're playing from behind. They don't have to worry about that because you are in a position where you have to throw. That's how a lot of these teams try to design these funnel defenses. And that's exactly, I've seen some of that with the Eagles, as far as a funnel defense, a pass over the middle. But the Chiefs, that's the way their defense is designed. So if you get up on the Chiefs, and you can start eating that clock and run it, I mean, you can easily beat them. They're just not, they're not like an old school, like hand in the dirt Baltimore Ravens type or something like that. That's not how they're designed. They're designed to blitz when they know you have to pass. That's what it is.
Completely agree with you. And then Spags will send pressure from all over the field. You'll see tons of pressure coming from different areas, whether it be safety pressure, nickel pressure, Trent McDuffie coming around the corner. I think Trent McDuffie will move back to the outside. I think they'll move Snead back into the slot where they had played him a few times, but Snead's limited in practice. You never know if he's even going to play. I mean, I think it's the Super Bowl. I think he'll give it a go, but him and Kadarius Toney still haven't had a full practice this week. It's Thursday. Remember that.
Doesn't this Chiefs defense, I'm going to ask the Eagles fans here, remind you of an Andy Reid defense to an extent when he was in the Eagles? I want you to think about it. You drafted some rookie corners. You got a couple guys that are good on the defensive line, right? And, you have a really talented defensive coordinator that's going to have to make something out of the groceries he got him. And that's
Spags isn't Jim Johnson.
He's not, but he reminds me of him, his approach a little bit, because Spags,
like the construction of the team, like they're not necessarily I mean, they don't have garbage at linebacker and safety, but they're
Right.
not as concerned with those positions, just like Andy Reid never was in Philly.
Their linebackers are not good. Willie Gay,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nick Ryan, Steve Bolton, whoever you want to call him. Nick Bolton, I'm kidding.
Michael Bolton.
Carlos Dunlap, who's 33 years old, and they keep him back there for whatever reason. He's just wheelchairing out there. I don't know. They have no linebackers over 55 tackles.
Levon Kirkland.
But that's what I'm saying. But like to Godfrey's point, that was what Andy Reid would do when he was with the Phillies. Yeah, you would have guys. You would try to have a great line for rushing. You try to have good corners. In this particular case, you got to get young guys, right? When Philadelphia's defense started to really improve was when we started to say, you know what, man, we got some young guys that are great, but we got to get some dogs, right? We need to get some dogs so we can win now. And while those young guys get better, they need to be looking at dogs to play. So I love what we've done defensively, and that's the difference in philosophy. Because I think the teams marry each other a lot, but that's the difference in philosophy. Our defense is one of the most complete I've seen from Philadelphia. There's not a lot of weaknesses. Like I said, I would say if you're going to say when I say linebacker, but that's not anywhere near as bad as it's been in the past.
Bro,
so I love what we're
Edwards
doing.
has been incredible this year. I think people like really underrate what TJ Edwards has done this year. Kazir White's been incredible this year. Both those guys earned a lot of money in free agency this year. They won't be back with Philadelphia next year. Understand that.
I think one of them might. But
there's no way Edwards comes back. I'll bet you whatever you want.
I wasn't talking about Edwards.
Yeah, because you're white. I can see that.
Yeah, but you remember, the Kobe Dean is waiting in the wings.
Correct. That's why I said that.
Yeah, so that's what makes it so great. Is we have some young guys and I'm wondering why Dean and Davis aren't playing more. But then I say, you know what, man, I'm gonna trust what we got going on because we're looking good, right? And when they've had their opportunities, they played well. So I'm expecting the same thing in advanced roles next year. But it's just a matter of really just playing your part. You know, I'm gonna take it back to my boy Sweet Jones, Pimp C, play your part.
Yeah, by the way, the one thing that the Chiefs don't have that doesn't mirror an old Eagles defense is a weapon X called Brian Dawkins. Their safeties, I don't think they're really that great. I mean, they're average, right? I mean, does anybody have anything to say about defend the Chiefs safeties? Am I wrong here?
Justin Reed is a very good tackling safety in the box. I got to give him a lot of credit. Juan Thornhill is a good over-the-top safety, but they're very limited in what they can do. You're right, Godfrey. I don't think that they're elite in anything, and I also think that they can be exposed in different avenues of the football game. I think that Juan Thornhill reminds me a ton of like a poor man's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and Justin Reed and Marcus Epps are almost the same player.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I really think, if the Eagles are successful with the run game and get to the second level of blocking, I'm not worried about their safeties darting in there making tackles and making plays at the line of scrimmage. I'm really not. They're going to get run over by a freight train. And I'm not being a homer by saying that. I'm just going by like what I've seen teams do that could run the ball against this team this year, the Chiefs. So I just think that's something where the Eagles can impose their will on them. I mean, you're going to see some run blitzes. Like they know the run's coming, and they're going to run blitz.
So next thing I want you guys to do, and starting with Kyle, is I want you to give me an X factor for the game. Who you think is a non-superstar player that steps up? This happens every Super Bowl since the beginning of time. A non-superstar player that steps up, has a great day, and give me your score prediction for the win.
All right. So for the score, I'm going with the Eagles in this one. I've been on record with that. Boston fan picking a Philly team. It's all good.
Come to the dark
I'm
side.
going. Yeah, I mean, my Patriots aren't giving me reason to think we'll be there anytime soon. But I'll go Eagles 30-26. And I think the X factor will be Gainwell. I really like what I saw from him against San Francisco, and I think get more of that in this game.
His over-under for the game is 19.5 yards. I've never seen more free money.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
I thought it was 9. It's 19. Still low.
19.5. Super low. It's free.
I mean, I would say if you look at his stats, though, where he seems to get a lot of his big yards, where he's got most of his yards, were games where the Eagles were comfortably ahead. So if it's a close game, I don't know, man.
He was running the ball more than Miles Sanders last game in the first half.
Well, I mean, that game was really over by
Okay.
halfway through the first quarter.
All right, so God,
About 5 minutes in.
Yeah.
give me your X factor and give me your score prediction.
I'll give you 2 X factors from both sides of the team.
Okay.
My X factor on the Kansas City Chiefs, I think, will be Jarrett McKinnon. Not a household name, but a veteran, a shifty runner, good with his hands out of the backfield. He's definitely going to be part of the game plan, and he's going to be part of extending those third downs, trying to get those conversions. On the Eagles side, I got Quez Watkins going deep for a touchdown.
Okay.
Over the top. Okay. Because, not a star, can do it. Fast. I could see him burning them, getting loose, and getting either a touchdown or like a big chunk 50, 60-yard play. I see them trying to do that. He's been a little quiet. I could just see him come out of nowhere. And if my final score is 27-23 Eagles, and I think the Eagles are going to eat a lot of clock running that ball. Going to get a couple long drives, keep the Chiefs off the field, and I think they get it done 27-23.
Okay. Cool McCain. Eagles elite. Play caller sports. NFC beast.
So I'll also give you 2 X factors. So on defense, I'm going to give you Kaiser White. I believe they're going to try to challenge him. I believe he's up to the challenge. I think he's solid in coverage. We know he can tackle. He can make plays. So I think he's a guy that when you're looking, you say, maybe we can run through his area, right? Maybe we can run some plays at him and see what happens. I think he's going to be up to the task. So I think he'll be an X factor on defense. So I actually have 2 on offense, and I'm trying to decide between the 2. So I'm just going to give you both of them. All right. Zach Pascal, he's a guy that whenever he's called on to make a play, he makes the play. He doesn't get as many opportunities. Never heard a rumble of any problem with him for it. And the other reason why I'm picking him is his blocking. When he's on the field, the run blocking is better from the wide receiver group because I'm going to be honest, Devontae Smith gives it all he's got, but he doesn't have much to give, right? He's just a small guy. So I think those are 2 of the reasons why I think he can be an X factor. And my other one is Grant Calcaterra. He's going to get a chance to make a big play because they're going to run some 2 tight end sets. They're probably going to do it with him and Jack Stoll because that's going to take away the defense trying to figure out which one to guard. So I think he's going to get some opportunities, and I think he's going to make some plays as well. So I think those are my 2 offensive X factors, and Kaiser White's my guy on defense. My final score, I have 34-29 Philadelphia.
So you have the Chiefs moving the ball well, too. 29 points is no slouch.
Yep. Couple of field goals. But yeah, I haven't moved the ball.
So I'll give you one for both teams. I think one of the guys that's really made a name for himself this playoffs is Jalen Watson for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a young cornerback that's made some ridiculous plays in this postseason, had some great interceptions. He had an interception versus Joe Burrow last week. 2 weeks ago, he had the one-handed interception versus Trevor Lawrence. Well, 3 weeks ago now. Jalen Watson has played great football with the absence of L'Jarius Sneed. I think the Philadelphia Eagles got to be really careful. He's a risk taker, so I could see that being something that plays into the game. I got a really weird one on offense.
These are the good ones.
I got Landon Dickerson, and let me explain to you why. I think that Landon Dickerson is going to line up against Chris Jones, and I think that you are going to watch Landon Dickerson handle Chris Jones. With the combination of him and Kelsey, I think they're going to put him in a bad position. You see the Eagles made Nick Bosa look silly near the end of that game versus the San Francisco 49ers. He had no idea which way to go. Landon Dickerson's a dog, and I think he is going to have a huge game this game. And I'm a weirdo. I watch the trenches. I watch different avenues of the football game. I've probably watched the Eagles 49ers game 3 times at this point. I watched it on all 22, and then I watch it live. Last but not least, I'm going to give you another little X factor that you probably wouldn't think of. Give me Boston Scott. And I'll explain to you why Boston Scott means so much. Boston Scott is our kick returner. He's going to be returning our kicks. I think the opening kickoff and maybe another one late in the game, he runs past the 50-yard line to give the Eagles great field position. I think Boston Scott has a huge game as a whole, particularly on the special team side of it. So I got some weird X factors for you, weird guys that are going to step up. The biggest concern I have with Kansas City is obviously the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick Mahomes. But I still think the Philadelphia Eagles win this game. And I'm going to paint the picture for you. Be real quick here because it's 8:02. In 2017, 2018, the Philadelphia Eagles were the first team that would number one seed home dogs versus the Atlanta Falcons in their first playoff game. It's never happened before. The number one seed opened up as an underdog. Then they were underdogs versus the Minnesota Vikings by 3 points at home in the NFC Championship game.
The audacity.
Then they were 5-point underdogs in the Super Bowl versus Brady and Belichick. Rex Ryan has a famous speech on Hard Knocks. He goes, some people think the best place to be is under the radar. Fuck that. The best place to be is when expectations are high. The Philadelphia Eagles opened this postseason as an 8-point favorite over the New York Giants and won 38-7. They opened up as a 3-point favorite over the 2.5-point favorite over the San Francisco 49ers and won 31-7. And they're 1.5-point favorites versus the evil empire, the new Brady and Belichick, Mahomes and Reed. If you can't see the similarities of these two Super Bowl runs, but flip-flopped in the Philadelphia Eagles being a better football team, I can't help you anymore. It's 31-23. Patrick Mahomes is driving down the field. He's at the Eagles' 33-yard line trying to tie the football game. It's 3rd and 7. Hassan Reddick comes around the edge, strip sack fumble, and recovered by the man who had the strip sack himself in Super Bowl 52, Brandon Graham, and the Philadelphia Eagles end the game with a kneel down, and Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl MVP, 31-23, as Nick Sirianni is doused with blue at plus 500 Gatorade.
In his tight pants.
So the last part is just fun part. Like, guys, open discussion. No, we don't have to go turns and be weird. Let's talk. What are fun prop bets that you've looked at in this Super Bowl that you might be placing coin on? A serious one I got, Kenneth Gainwell over 19.5 yards. I don't see how that doesn't happen. I'm all over that. But I start early. I got the coin flip being heads. I got the national anthem going over 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Country singer. Country singers love to sing long. They do.
So do R&B singers. Real talk.
Yeah.
I got Rihanna over 8.5 songs played. And I have her coming out to Please Don't Stop the Music at plus 350. Got some fun ones. And then I told you this already. At plus 500, I think Nick Sirianni gets doused in blue Gatorade.
Yeah.
Just giving fun. Fun ones.
I actually picked blue Gatorade on Big 3 as well.
I like it.
So I'm there with you. But yeah,
Well,
all the other
guys,
ones you
give me
named,
some.
I mean,
You know, I'm not a
I
bettor,
see all
so
the
I
ones you
look at
named,
prop.
you know.
Prop bets. Just
Yeah,
for
I mean,
fun.
I'm not a bettor either, but you know, did
I'm
look
just
at
worried
them
about-
really quickly, and you know, the national anthem one was a dead giveaway. Just like you said, even it's not even just a country singer thing. I think most people on that stage, they kind of want to draw it out because they know everybody's looking at them. So I think that's an easy one. The Rihanna one, I was trying to think what the options were because I think the one she may start off with is, and I think Umbrella was too obvious. And What's Her Name was, I think, one of the choices as well. That might be a sneaky opening song for her. But Actually, I might have to pull up the rest of the props as well. But I think because usually when I look at them, since I'm not a big bettor, it's usually national anthem, halftime stuff, and the Gatorade because everybody loves the Gatorade one.
Gatorade's fun, man. It's always
Yeah.
fun because when you see the Gatorade being doused, you have like a fun, like, oh, I had blue. It's
How
funny
about,
story. You know, red has never been the color ever.
Really?
So surprised about that. How about plus 450 for a field goal to hit the post?
Are you going yes or no on that one?
If I do it, it would only no is minus 650. So if I do it, I'm only going yes.
Yeah, I would go no on that. I would leave that one alone.
Yeah.
Over under shortest touchdown run. It's 1.5.
I would, if I were a bettor, I would go under.
You go 1 yard touchdown, right? You talking about that?
I go half a yard touchdown.
Yeah,
right?
Jalen Hurts, man. The quarterback sneak.
Quick QB sneak. Yeah,
You're gonna see that in this game.
You're gonna see it multiple times.
Yeah. When I saw it there, I'm trying to find it. It was the margin of victory bet. 1 to 13. You know, they have those bets out there. Those are always fun. You know,
that scares the shit out of me, Godfrey. I'm not kidding with you. I'll tell you, my worst betting story in the history of the Super Bowl was the Falcons Patriots. I had the Falcons plus 3.5. I also had them. I had them the win margin by 7 to 10 points in the Super Bowl, and I had $500 on the Falcons plus 3.5. I had $100 at plus 850 at the Falcons to win by 7 to 10 points. They have the ball.
First half, you were extremely happy.
Yeah. But even when Julio Jones caught that ball down the sideline, it's 2 minutes and like 30 seconds remaining in the game. They're at the 28-yard line. If they just kneel the ball 3 times and let their kicker kick a field goal, they're up 10 points. I have the margin of victory 7 to 10 points. All I need them to do is just run the ball up the middle 3 times and kick a field goal and win by 10 points. And man, and then when they get to overtime, and the Patriots got the ball first, I already knew I lost my bet. I had them plus 3.5. I knew it. I was like, oh well, this is over. It was one of the worst. So when you say margin of victory in the Super Bowl, I immediately just break them down like a shotgun. I'm like, no.
Dude, that had to be awful.
It was terrible.
I couldn't even.
But I also had the Patriots versus the Seahawks. And so like I've been on my fair share of good bets and bad bets in the Super Bowl. But the Patriots I had versus the Seahawks, I had them winning by between 1 and 7 points. And that was a huge win.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy bets out there. You talked about the game well bet earlier.
Throw one out.
I'm trying to throw some of these out here, and these things, like, it's like everybody's betting right now. But anyway, I'm on the page right now, and I'm looking at it. I mean, there's some game props in there. I always say, I'm going to go anti on this one. People think I'm crazy, but I always say betting the MVP Super Bowl outside of the quarterback position, it can happen. It could be good, but I think a lot of times it's either going to be a really good defensive performance or a quarterback. I mean, most of the time that's what it is, right? I mean, it's usually a quarterback award. One of the Super Bowls that reminded me of that, people still say I'm crazy to this day, was when the Chiefs beat the 49ers. They gave it to Mahomes. Great game, came back. Thought Damian Williams had a really good game that game. Was MVP worthy. And I actually had a bet on him for it, and he didn't get it. I was like, son of a bitch. I mean, there's some games where quarterbacks have gotten Super Bowl MVP, and you're like, huh? I mean, one of the games where, against the Eagles in 2004, Deion Branch, I believe, won Super Bowl MVP that year. That's one. Cup won it last year.
4 times in the last 10 years, a non-quarterback has won Super Bowl MVP.
It was
Cup. That's pretty wild.
Von Miller.
Yep.
Who was the other one? Cup, Von Miller, Julian Edelman.
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
Did Edelman win?
You're correct.
I think Edelman won it for. Yeah, I think Edelman got it. The Falcons won.
Yeah, who got it in the Patriots one where it was like 13-3 versus the Rams, the snooze fest.
Probably Brady still.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like unless someone makes a good case, the default award is for the quarterback when it comes to MVP of the Super Bowl.
I got news for you, bro. Darius Slay at plus 8,500. Sprinkle $10 on it. You win $850. If he has 2 pick sixes, he wins Super Bowl MVP.
Wow. I mean, if he has 2 pick sixes.
If he has 2 picks and one of them is a pick six, he might win MVP.
Correct. That's my point.
If they have 2 pick sixes, they're gonna erect a statue next to Nick Foles.
Yeah.
With it's gonna be Darius Slay.
If he has 2 pick sixes, they might tear that motherfucker down and put his up.
Market Street in Philadelphia will be Slay Avenue.
And I will go and pose in front of the Slay Avenue sign next year and take selfies with it and his statue.
Yeah, I mean
and
that would
have
be
on his jersey.
That would
great
be
one from the Super Bowl.
Bro, Kenneth Gainwell's plus 13,000
for MVP.
That is so absurd because he could definitely be the leading rusher in that game.
I think Miles Sanders is going to be the leading rusher. Though. I really do.
I don't disagree with you, but like, why not throw $10?
What's Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders is plus 2,500. What's better value to you? 13,000 or 2,500?
What's Devontae?
I would rather put 50 on 2,500 and 10 on 13,000.
So Devontae Smith is 3,100.
That's my sleeper.
I like that.
That's my sleeper.
I like that. Super Bowl Sunday. It wouldn't be Super Bowl Sunday if we didn't talk about 2024 Super Bowl odds. I'm going to give you a couple of teams, and I want you to try to guess what their Super Bowl odds are for 2024, and then we'll wrap up. And I got a really direct, ruthless comment that's coming to people that are listening to the show. It might get me thrown off Sports Empire Network, if I'm being honest with you.
Uh-oh.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So Super Bowl 58 outright betting. We'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think their odds are to win the Super Bowl next year is? Who do you think the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl in 2024 is?
The Chiefs.
That's correct.
Plus 600?
That's correct. Are you looking at it?
Nope. I pulled it right out of my ass.
Great. Kyle, what's the
I
Eagles?
did pull it out of mine too.
Kyle, what's the Eagles?
I got a number in my head,
plus 800.
It's probably higher.
Plus 900. It's really close.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was thinking plus 1,200.
All right. Who has better odds to win the Super Bowl? The Eagles, the Bengals, or the 49ers?
The Eagles, the Bengals, or the 49ers? I'm going to go with
I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Bengals.
Niners.
You guys are all right. They're tied at plus 900.
The Niners. Yeah, we don't even know who our QB is, but we're at plus 900.
Who has better odds to win the Super Bowl next year? Who has better odds to win the Super Bowl next year? The Chargers or the Cowboys?
Chargers. Should have the better odds.
Yeah, the Chargers should, so I'll go Chargers.
It's going to be the Cowboys because they want to suck in some of these Cowboy bettors. Like, oh, that's money in the bank.
It's the Cowboys. You want to hear something wild?
Godfrey's right.
And I'm not kidding when I tell you this. This is wild. After the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals, which AFC team has the best odds to win the Super Bowl? Obviously, Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals. It goes Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Bengals, Niners tied, Cowboys, and then this team as the 7th best odds to win the Super Bowl. And I am flabbergasted.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say some stupidness that might be right. Denver Broncos.
I was going to go with the Broncos as well.
How about the Dolphins?
The Dolphins are plus 3,000. The Broncos are plus 3,500.
Okay.
This team is plus 1,600.
AFC team.
Yep.
Ravens?
It's the Bills?
That's correct. It's the Ravens. Plus 1,600. The Ravens.
Mike,
Can I fade that bet?
Well, they got a Pro Bowl backup quarterback.
Snoop. Honestly, my first thought was the Ravens, but the way you said it, I was like, maybe it's really ridiculous like the Broncos.
That's
but my
absurd.
first thought was the
They don't
Ravens.
have a wide receiver. Their quarterback might not come back next year. Their defense was burnt toast all year. Marcus Peters is 77 years old. Are y'all for real? Marcus Peters is older than me.
I mean, I think the Niners one is absurd. I mean, listen, I know it was a great story, but if you're going to tell me Brock Purdy's going to be the starter, he is going to get lit up next year. The film will be out. Brock Purdy was a great story, and I would bust Gene's balls about it all the time. I text him from a fake number, be like, "Yo, you like that win?" But the thing is, they're gonna figure him out. If you're gonna sell me that he's gonna make adjustments in his game to be ahead of the defenses in the league, I don't buy it. I just don't see it. And Trey Lance, I mean, I hope he does well. He's coming back from a serious injury. Will he be the same guy? I don't even know. He didn't even get a chance. So where do you go? I mean, I think they're gonna, San Fran is gonna. They want to sell tickets, so they're gonna sell people on the Brock Purdy story. That's what's gonna go on. But at the end of the day, if I'm the GM and my job's on the line, I'm rolling my dice with Trey Lance.
All right. So after the Chargers at plus 2,000, there are 4 teams at plus 2,500. Rapid fire. Try to name those 4 teams that are after. So it'll be the Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Bengals, 49ers, Cowboys, Ravens, Chargers. They're the top 8 teams to go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl next year. There's a next grouping of 4 teams at plus 2,500.
Packers.
Packers are one of them. That's correct. Dolphins are plus 3,000. That is incorrect. You guys get 3 strikes. That's strike 1. Can the panel get it?
I guess I better shut up then.
Nah, have fun.
I'm gonna go on the limb and say the Lions.
The Lions are correct at plus 2,500. You have 2 correct and 1 strike.
I kind of want to throw out there the Jags then.
The Jags? That is correct. Plus 2,500. The Jaguars. Ding, ding, ding. That's 3 correct with only 1 strike. You guys have 3 guesses, essentially. Oh, 2 guesses at this.
So there's 2 more.
1 more. That's it. You guys, now, this is what I want to do. If you guys, next guess gets thrown out, if it's wrong, I'll give it a strike. But after that, I want you guys to talk and give me a final answer.
Plus 2,500. There's a team I want to throw out there.
How about the Browns?
That is incorrect there. Plus 3,500. Now, before you guys give me the last one, you guys can talk amongst yourselves, and I want to hear a final answer. So just talk and say the teams that are in your head and just come up with a consensus.
I'm king. So the team that I'm thinking of, they just got a new defensive coordinator. Had a pretty good year last year, even though a lot of people didn't think about them. Minnesota. If you believe in Flores turning that defense around.
I actually had that too, and I didn't want to say it after I got the first one wrong. But I was actually thinking Minnesota as well.
I can see Minnesota.
Is that your final answer? That is incorrect.
Is it our final answer though?
Really?
The Minnesota Vikings are plus 4,000. I love that they got it Brian Flores. That's a great ad.
Are the odds makers on vacation?
Maybe. But this team, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you one more guess. And then we're going to go to the worst teams, the 3 worst teams. And then we'll wrap up. This team most likely will have a new quarterback that playing around a great team outside the quarterback.
It can't be the Jets.
That's correct. It is the
Jets.
I was going to Jets earlier, but in my head, I'm like, no way. No way. How could they pick the Jets? Who the fuck is the quarterback?
Next year, it could be Derek Carr. It could be Lamar Jackson.
Mike, the Great White Hype. They're talking about trading him. Lamar, I mean, that's a stretch, I think.
Derek Carr is apparently going to go to New Orleans. Did you hear about that talk?
Yeah.
I've heard about that talk. I'm ready. I'm waiting to see what actually happens. But I heard that talk.
All right. So the 4th worst Super Bowl odds is the Atlanta Falcons at plus 7,500.
Okay.
There are 3 teams at plus 28,000. So I want you to understand how absurd that is.
I got one.
Fourth worst team is at plus 7,500, and there's 3 teams at plus 28,000.
I got one.
Okay, so you guys, once again, 3-strike system. You got to get all 3.
I got one.
Good.
Go ahead.
The Houston Texans.
That is correct. Ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding. Houston Texans are one of them.
yeah, that was going to be my first
A
guess.
$10 bet was $800.
All right. Let's see. After the Texans, who else sucks? Extreme monkey balls.
And I already gave you a hint. Atlanta's not one of them.
Right.
Raiders.
I got another one.
Raiders is incorrect, sir. The Las Vegas Raiders are plus 4,000.
I got
They have
another
the
one.
same odds as the Vikings and the Giants.
I don't know, though. I'm not as sure about this one, but I think it might be there.
Go ahead.
The Carolina Panthers.
The Carolina Panthers are incorrect. The Carolina Panthers are plus
Okay, well.
5,500. That's 2 strikes. So going forward, I have to get a final answer out of you guys.
Dang.
I will give you a hint. Both teams are in serious.
know. I know. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I know one.
because I think I have one, but yeah.
Okay, good. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll shut up.
Some reason I'm thinking
Colts. We got to go Colts.
Colts. Yeah, I was thinking the Colts as well.
Final answer on the Colts?
I'll go with Colts, too.
That is
If it's
correct.
wrong,
The Colts
oh
are
well.
one of the 2. There's one more.
Could it be the other team that needs a coach? With Kyler Murray and the guy who wants to leave in Hopkins.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals because he's going to be hurt. He might not even be in this
I
during the
really
season.
want to go with the Cardinals, too, because they are a dumpster fire of crap.
Is that a final answer?
I like
That's
the
a
Cardinals.
unanimous answer, sir.
Ding,
Hey,
ding,
ride
ding,
together, we die
ding,
together.
ding. The chat wins.
I'm
I
actually, hold
love
on. I'm responding to Kyler right now. Yeah, I'll be on in the COD group in about 10 minutes. I'm wrapping up the show.
All right, here's my. Anybody got any final thoughts before we wrap up? Because I got something I got to say.
No, just enjoy the Super Bowl, be safe, and be prepared for the Eagles haters to be disappointed.
All right,
I love that.
anybody else? Final thoughts?
Check me out, NFC Beast, Saturday night. Check me out tomorrow. I will be on at 7:30 for the Play Call Sports Talk show, playcallsportstalk.com/live. At 9, I'm going to be a little late because of some responsibilities, but I will be there at 9 sometime-ish for Top of the Key with my guy Gene. It's a lot of things happening in the NBA.
I might
You
not
gotta
even
hear
be on
about
the
it
show.
Why
I might
not
not
us?
even be on the show. I might get
What?
thrown off Sports Empire Network. That's why I tagged Freddie intentionally. He might throw me off the network for what I'm about to say. That's why I tagged him.
Oh, boy.
I'm not kidding. I'm not. It's not a joke.
You still coming on Top of the Key.
I will, but he might throw me off the show for this.
Don't walk off the earth. Don't walk off the earth, the flat earth like Kyrie Irving.
Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to take too much time because I got to hear what you got to say. But I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
I'm just ready for this weekend. We got history being made. 2
Oh, that's
African-American
right.
quarterbacks as well. A few years
Two
ago,
brothers.
a few years ago was the 2 African American coaches. Now we got quarterbacks. So
That's pretty cool.
I'm definitely
Yep.
excited to see what's going to happen.
That's cool. I like to say though, on the tail end of that, people who want to complain about that and say, why do you got to make it about race? Go play in traffic. Because that should be celebrated. I think, you have to recognize the historical significance of it and what people like Warren Moon went through in his career. And the guy that was a quarterback for Tennessee in college in the 70s, I can't remember his name, but he got shortchanged too because of the black quarterback stereotype that was not true.
All right.
God, I can't remember his name. But
All right. Well, I got to get this off my chest. Guys, and this is no slight to Jake Silva. Let me make sure Jake does not understand that this is against him at all, because I promise you it's not. He made it very clear that he can hop on for a little bit, and he was driving. Okay. Don't you ever ask to come on a show that I'm doing, Wire to Wire, sports podcast, this Pregaming Pigskin, whatever the fuck show I'm on. Don't ask to come on this show or try to come on this show with some, can you fit me first? Or can you do this, this, and that? Nah, fuck that. I'm done with that. I'm going to tell you something right now. I promise you this right now. I will be big and I will be huge on network, on radio, on ESPN, or whatever there is. I don't care who you are or what your stature is. Don't waste my fucking time coming on my show telling me I plan stuff weeks in advance, a week in advance. I don't want to hear it. I'm done with it. I'm not wasting my time with special guests that don't show up on time or in a fucking car and don't take this shit seriously. I take what I do seriously. I'm on a microphone with two ring lights around me on a MacBook Pro. That's how serious I take what I do. I don't beg people to come on this show. I don't care. I've told Freddie I'll turn down NBA stars coming on one of my shows because I don't need it. I'm good. I know I'm good at what I do. Don't waste my time. If you come on any show that I host, don't waste my time. Come on time, come in front of a camera, and be ready to talk sports. No one had to put up with that bullshit in the beginning of the show where you couldn't hear anything in the back of a fucking limo. I don't care where you're at. Period.
Yeah, I think that was a Nissan Altima. Not that I have anything against an Ultima.
I don't think that should get you any type of chastisement or talking to. I think it's a fair statement.
I just don't need people, bro. Like, look, Kelsey Nicole came on Wire to Wire. She was great. She gave great points. She was awesome. She can only be on for 30 minutes. She told me a week in advance she should be on for 30 minutes. Carolina T came on this show and was excellent. We had a great time. She was there for the whole show. Loved everything about her. I've talked, and I'm going to put this dude on blast, from ring.com. Remember the guy that came out with the report, the Carson Wentz report in Philadelphia? The first one. What was his name?
Oh, God. I know what you're talking about.
He's a boxing guy. He was the first one to have the report on Carson Wentz.
He's a boxing guy?
Yeah, he is a boxing guy. He's on ring.com.
I don't remember who it was. Yeah, I was trying to remember because I remember ring.com.
It's an Italian dude, right?
Yes. So I'm going to tell you a story real quick. It's not your fault.
No, it's not your fault, bro.
But,
I missed it, but I
should be glad you missed it.
Steve Blandino? No.
I forget the guy's name, but he hopped on a show of mine. I called him up on the phone. I said, hey, do you want to hop on and talk about this Carson Wentz report? He hopped on the show. He was supposed to be on at 9:00 to talk to us. He didn't show up for the show. We called him. He was drunk. Who's this? Finally hops on the show, gives a half-assed response in a room on a phone with poor reception, drinking alcohol on the show. Don't waste my time. I take my craft very seriously. I care about the product that we put out. I am a showman, and I constantly want to interject great energy. I flew back from Knoxville, Tennessee, and got on a show that night. I drove back from Harrisburg yesterday to get on Wire to Wire. I've been tired. I haven't slept. I had a funeral this morning. Don't waste my fucking time. I'm not here for it. Love you.
Yeah. I had some questions prepared for him too.
What's the point? Hopped on, hopped off, 16 minutes. It's a waste of goddamn time. I don't need you. I'm better at talking sports than you. You don't even know what you're talking. I don't care if you work for ESPN. I am better at talking sports than you. I don't need you on the show. It's a waste of time. I don't care if you have a job at ESPN, Fox, if you're covering the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. I can go up against anyone and debate anyone with my sports knowledge and my pedigree. And that's fine if I don't get paid for it. I'm good with that. And I'm done talking shit. Appreciate everybody else joining in. Wire to Wire. Oh, Jesus Christ. Pregaming Pigskin. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Hey, Jake, appreciate you too, big dog. Oh, don't forget, are you hopping on with Jake on Sunday morning?
I'm doing the Sunday morning drive, bro.
Well, he's only doing like 15 minutes. I'm gonna do both.
I'll do both.
I'll be on the drive.
I'll do both.
Yeah, I'll be on the Sunday morning.
I love Jake. Jake is the man. Jake made it very clear. I just want to be clear. It wasn't Jake who I'm having this conversation about.
Yeah.
I couldn't get mad at Jake anyway. He's a Chargers fan. That's just like getting up in the morning and punching yourself in the face every day. I'm just saying it's a no-win situation. I don't hate the Chargers. I'm just saying the Spanos, man, are awful. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
All right, y'all. Let's wrap it up. Stay 30. Have a good night.
See ya.
All right. See you guys.